Hi everyone, this is Annie Williams, and I am so excited to introduce my new collection with Spellbinders called Country Road. This collection was inspired by rural Pennsylvania and the beautiful gardens and entryways right outside my window. The collection includes 4 die sets and a Stampin' die set, and they were all designed to work together to create quiet country scenes. The Country Wheelbarrow die set creates a generously sized Amish-style wheelbarrow that you can fill with whatever you'd like for the holiday or season you're creating for. Rustic Garden contains all the dies you need to create a beautiful country garden. The rustic elements also work perfectly for autumn and western themed cards. The Welcome Sign and Sentiments Stampin' Die set is one of my favorites. It's super versatile. You can die cut a beautiful country sign and add sentiments or other decorative elements from the stamp set. There are tons of sentiments that can be mixed and matched to really create for any season or holiday. And the Garden Builder die set is so much fun. It is full of all the leafy and floral elements you'll need to create multi-layered gardens and even wreaths. Last is the Seasonal Decor die set. Tons of different holiday and seasonal elements that you can use to fill your wheelbarrow, your rustic scenes, or even put with your welcome sign to complete the look. So let's take a closer look at each of the sets and I'll show you everything that's in. The Country Wheelbarrow die set contains 7 dies, and you can build a traditional wheelbarrow that's kind of positioned at a 3/4 turn, and that gives it more interest and dimension. You can also take the side panels off and create a flatbed wheelbarrow. Now the die has a certain cut line placed behind that front panel. You can see it here, and it won't cut the entire way through. So if you want to create the flatbed wheelbarrow, what you'll need to do is snip that little tab and then assemble it like usual. And that allows you to be able to tuck the items directly behind that front panel. Here I've got one of the pumpkins, and you can see I can put it further back in the flatbed wheelbarrow and it would be okay, but it looks kind of nice being able to tuck it right behind there. This is what one of the other seasonal decor items looks like in the traditional wheelbarrow. And now I also have plenty of room to tuck an extra pumpkin in on this flatbed. Now here's a sample I've done with the Country Wheelbarrow die set. I've made a springtime wheelbarrow, filled it full of flowers and leaves from the Garden Builder die set. So this is the Rustic Garden die set, and it includes tons of these fun layerable dies. We'll start with the barrel. The bottom layer has a great wood grain detail, and when you adhere the top layer on top, it creates an open top barrel that you can stick flowers and leaves in if you'd like, or you can die cut the same color of cardstock using the top layer die and stick it in, color it the same way, and then you can put whatever on top of the barrel. Now here's the birdhouse. It's super cute and kind of rustic. Has these little twigs that you use for the roof and the sides and the perch. I love those little details. You can either use a post from the fence set, or you can just place it on top of the barrel to add it to your scene. Next we'll talk about the split rail fence. This comes in 4 separate parts. And here it is assembled. Now the longer dies create the sides that have the shadow layer. So you cut the little shadow part out of a slightly darker cardstock, put glue on those tiny little tabs, and you can adhere it to the longer rail, and that creates kind of a rustic looking shadow. The shorter rails go on the other side, and you've got the fence post in the center. Now let's talk about the wagon wheel. It comes with a couple of parts that might seem confusing at first. So here it is assembled. You use the small circle to create the hub of the wheel. This piece creates the spokes, and you use both pieces together to create that outer rim. Now in order to assemble it, you need to use the brackets, and that's what these funny little pieces here are. You adhere them in 4 different quarters, and that will create the complete wagon wheel. Last is the water pump, and that just comes in 2 different pieces, and you adhere them together, add a little shading if you want. I've cut a couple of card bases so you can kind of get an idea of how large these die cuts are. This is a mini slimline card base, so it's about 3¼ by 6¼ inches. The split rail fence reaches almost entirely across, and if I hadn't slanted them as much as I had, you probably could fit it all the way across. And some of the other elements fit pretty well in this scene too. This is an A2 size card base, so it's 4¼ by 5½. The split rail fence fits either way in portrait or landscape on this card base. You might have to trim it a bit depending on which orientation you use. And here are some of the elements on the A2 card base. This first sample is a simple scene created on an A2 size card base. I've got some flowers from the Garden Builder die set, but let me show you how to create that smaller little barrel planter. All you need to do is assemble the barrel like you would normally and just snip it off wherever you'd like. So here I've done it right above the rim. And now you can fill it with any of the leafy branches or flowers from the Garden Builder die set, or assemble that big old hosta and just plop it down right on top. And that's just a great way to get more use out of your die. Alright, let's talk about that welcome sign and sentiment stamp and die set. You've got dies to create 2 different style welcome sign posts. You can create kind of a more ornate looking post, kind of a more elegant look, or there's a more simple and rustic look, and that just gives you more options for your cards. The sign comes in a couple different layers. Here I've got an assembled one, and so there's a backer that kind of creates a nice little outline. You've got the main part of the sign, and you can stamp a sentiment or a design on there. And then you've got this little oval inlay that you can just use as a decorative element. This little die cuts the hardware and the chains for the sign. So here I've got the chains cut in gold and the hardware cut in brown. You just attach those to the side of the sign, and then you can determine the length of your chain and attach it to the signpost with glue. Now, if you decide you don't want to use the full length of the chain, there are options. You can take one of those little chains and just snip it at one of the other links, and that'll create a chain that keeps the sign just a little bit closer to the top of the post. And so you have options when it comes to what size card or what orientation card you're going to use this sign with. Now, there's one other fun element with the dies in this set, and that is the 6 decorative inlays for the top of the sign. We have this cute die cut flower, a sunshine, a simple leaf, and a maple leaf with embossed details, a snowflake, and this cute little tulip. And you could mix and match this with all the different sentiments in the stamp set. There's one for every season, and I think you'll have a lot of fun just trying out the different decorative elements with the sign. Gives you tons of options for all the different seasons and holidays. So here I've got the Farm Fresh Christmas tree sentiment, and I can add the snowflake. Really, there's just endless options with this set, and that's what I love about it. There's so much versatility. Now, for even more options, we've included stamps that fit into that tiny oval, and it covers even more holidays and occasions. So we've got a holly leaf, a 4-leaf clover, a heart, a cupcake, a pumpkin, a flower, and a pretty rose, and even a Christmas tree and a barn star. And between the die-cut decorative inlays and the stamped decorative inlays, you really can create for any season or holiday. And if I change out the sentiment, I can add a different icon. Here I've added that pretty little flower with a different sentiment. Now, speaking of sentiments, there are tons of different options. You can mix and match so many of these. We have your traditional sentiments, home sweet home, plant kindness, gather love. And we've got some sentiments that you mix and match together. So you can say welcome summer, welcome spring, welcome winter. And then also we've got some farm fresh pumpkins, farm fresh Christmas trees, sending love, sending Christmas cheer, sending luck, sending thanks, And also loads of, that goes with the wheelbarrow set, loads of luck, loads of flowers, loads of holiday cheer, loads of love. We've really tried to pack this set with any sentiment you could want. So here I've got my A2 sized card base, and I've got my signpost, and you can kind of see it takes up a good part of the card front, and there's plenty of room to add other decorative elements in the landscape for orientation. You can still use it. You might just need to snip off the bottom of the post a little bit. It also fits well on a mini slimline card base, so you just position it a little bit higher and then maybe fill the base with the hosta or some pumpkins, and it still works. Here's a sample I've created on an A2 sized card base. It's kind of perfect for spring with elements from the Garden Builder die set. And speaking of the Garden Builder die set, let's talk about all of the dies included. These first three create the hosta, and you've got the base layer, some of the embossed leaves that you layer on top, and then that stem that you adhere in the back, and it creates a really pretty lifelike looking hosta. Next, we'll look at the tulip die set, and you've got a stem and leaves and a layered flower on top, and it creates a really cute little tulip. Here I've done it in a couple different colors. Now these two are pine sprigs for your winter or Christmas cards. They make really pretty filler branches too. The wheat is great for autumn cards, and it comes in two layers, so you've got the base layer that you cut out of tan cardstock and the top layer that you cut out of yellow cardstock, and when you layer them together you get this really cute wheat plant. Now add the grass, cut with this die, and it creates a really cute bunch. Now that grass die can also be cut out of green cardstock, and here I've cut it out of light green and darker green cardstock and kind of created a tall clumpy grass, and that's perfect for garden scenes too. Here's one of the simple flower stems, and I've added the side view flower in a couple different colors on top. We've got a berry branch and some berries, and you can layer those up to create a pretty berry branch for all your... Here's one of the leafy sprigs in the set, and it has a spot for you to include a flower or a berry if you'd like, or you can just leave it blank. We've got another leafy sprig that leans to the other side, and it's nice and big and perfect for filling in some of those arrangements. We've included tons of different flower shapes and flower centers so that you can mix and match to create a bunch of different flowers. This first one is a layered flower, and it creates a many petaled flower, really cute. This other one, you layer two different layers, and it creates a daisy or a sunflower depending on the size of the center that you use. This last die creates just a bunch of different shapes and sizes of random flowers. You can mix and match with the centers. We've got 3 single leaves. You can add behind any of the flowers, just add them as a floral element in any of the scenes. Most of the flowers can be added to any of the leafy stems for a different look. You can add the daisy to this cute little stem for a single flower, or even just add the leaf behind it and put it on the wagon wheel. Now the last die in this set is the scruffy little barn cat, and he just adds the perfect cute little touch to any country garden. I've already shown you these samples, but I'm just going to point out again where I've used the Garden Builder die set and the tulips, the tall grass, and the hosta with the Rustic Garden. And here I've got the tulips and the hosta again with the welcome sign and sentiments. And here with the leafy branches and flowers in the wheelbarrow. But here's another new sample, and I've got the wagon wheel that I've covered 3/4 of the way with some leafy branches and flowers for a really rustic wreath. It was really important for me to create a collection that you could use throughout the year on your card projects, so that's where the seasonal decor die set comes in. All of the pieces in this die set were sized to be able to work with the wheelbarrow in the Rustic Garden and with the welcome sign. So this first one is a set of logs that when you stack them up and add the cute little bow on top, it just works perfectly for winter and holiday cards. And the bow also works with that cute little gift box. So that's actually perfect for Christmas or birthday or any kind of occasion where you'd be giving a gift. You've got the box bottom, the box top, the ribbon sides, and the ribbon top, and you can layer it to create this really adorable 3D present. Next is the barn star, and you can just cut this out of 2 colors of cardstock for a simple barn star, or create a patriotic style of barn star for the 4th of July. You can even fold the base layer on the score lines and kind of create a 3-dimensional star, and that can be used for any kind of project. There's a shamrock for St. Patrick's Day, and a cute little patchwork heart for Valentine's Day, or really any kind of love card or friendship card. I love the little stitch details on this one. We've got an Easter egg. It comes in 2 different layers, so you can piece that together or use just the solid layer to create colored ones. And I couldn't help myself. I had to include a ton of different pumpkins. I love fall, so here we have 3 different pumpkin options with all the stems and vines and leaves. There's also a smaller squash that fits in with them. We've got some summer veggies, so there's a tomato, a carrot, and 2 different peppers. And they're perfect for filling up the wheelbarrow or just creating a summer scene. Really cute and really fun little veggies. Here's a sample I made for autumn with some of the pumpkins, along with the wagon wheel and the barrel and some of the wheat from the Garden Builder die set. And now for some size comparisons. You can see that the Easter egg fits in the wheelbarrow. It takes up a good portion of the room, but you could fit more than one if you wanted to really fill the wheelbarrow. The barn star is a good size. Here's the shamrock. You could definitely add a couple of those, and that cute little patchwork heart. And if you use the flatbed wheelbarrow, you could definitely fit 1 or 2 of those pumpkins. So they fill the space, but there's room for plenty if you want to really overfill them. And you can fit a stack of about 5 or 6 logs on that flatbed wheelbarrow. So let's take a look at the rustic garden scene. Now you can stick the barn star on the fence. You can tuck one of the Easter eggs somewhere in the grass. The pumpkins are sized perfectly for this kind of scene. And the little gift box for a cute little birthday card. If we look at the welcome sign and sentiment set, again, you could hang the barn star on the post. You could tuck the Easter egg in anywhere. And the pumpkins can stack up really nicely at the base of that post for a really cute autumn card. I hope that you've enjoyed this introduction to my new collection called Country Road. It was really fun working with the team at Spellbinders to create this collection for you, and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity. I hope that this video has inspired you to create some country scenes of your own. I'd love to know in the comments what you think of the collection, and if there are any questions that you'd have, please let me know. I'll be back really soon with some card making videos using this collection, and until then, have a great day.